night class. My name is Devin Witten, and for those of you that don't know me, I am a social studies teacher at Bishop Ward High School, which is actually where we are right now. We're in my classroom. I figured, you know what, we have professional development today. I have a little bit of time before I have to go home. I might as well go ahead and shoot this video to give you a little bit about my insight on literacy and literacy training. So as we talked a little bit last week about what literacy is, literacy to me is being able to meaningfully interpret and apply information so that you can synthesize it into something new, whether it be a thought or whether it be something tangible. But as we know, with growing technologies, it doesn't have to be specifically the written or spoken word that we have to interpret and synthesize into other things. There are different forms of literacy. But, my roots as a literate individual run really, really deep. I had this horrible fear when I was in preschool, not even in kindergarten, that I was going to be the only kid in my kindergarten class that could not read. And I begged my mom for Hooked on Phonics, which isn't even a program anymore. Nobody endorses Hooked on Phonics. But I begged her for it because I thought I was going to be the only kid in my class that couldn't read. And my mom didn't get it for me, and I resented her for it just a little bit, but it's okay. We moved on. We got over it because Mom really dedicated a lot of time to helping me get over that fear. And she would order these books on magazines, from magazines rather, that either had my name in it, like my name was in the story, or it would be like a Disney collectible edition of something. And it was really meaningful. And I know that she spent a ton of money on them and she didn't need to, but she read with me all the time. And because of that, I kind of picked it up and I learned how to read. The very first word that I ever read, I remember being on my way home from my grandmother's apartment in Liberty, and I read the exit sign. And my mom had to stop the car because she was crying because it was the first word that I ever read. And it was a momentous occasion. I'm the youngest of three. It wasn't really a momentous occasion. It was for me, though. It was obviously a landmark moment for me as an individual. But after my illustrious moment of reading the exit sign, my mom and I read together every night. And we read the entire Harry Potter series together, and we went to go see all of them. We saw all the movies together because we read the books together. And now we watch the movies every single winter break without fail. We set aside a full 36 hours and we watch them straight through. And it's honestly the most meaningful activity that she and I engage in every year. We really bond over Harry Potter. But that's because she promoted, my reading and my literacy and my understanding. And she kind of instilled in me, reading strategies, of course, but she also really helped to put forth my sense of self. It really helped with character development for me. But it also really helped me with empathy, because you have to be able to put yourself into the position of the characters in the story, which is really, really important if you're going to be, somebody who is of a strong literate background. And I think that promoting literacy promotes all of those skills and strategies as well. Which kind of leads me to my big picture, my big idea, my kind of paramount moment as somebody who enjoys reading. And that was when I found my favorite book, which is Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. And I was actually a little upset. I actually received this book as an assignment in the 8th grade from my gifted education teacher. And at that point in my life, I felt really entitled and really hoity-toity. And how do I want to put this? I fancied myself a classicist. I liked the really boring, unfortunate books that nobody else wanted to read. I thought that, young adult literature was beneath me, and I wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. And so when she handed me Into Thin Air to read for a report, I was like, This is not the Scarlet Letter. This is not the Federalist Papers. What trash have you given me, woman? And I know it's not trash. It's absolutely not trash. But she did it because she wanted to challenge me, and she did. It really changed my perspective. The book itself is a chronicle of John Krakauer and his expedition to the summit of Mount Everest. And I remember hanging upside down from my bunk bed, and I was raised as kind of an only child. Like, my sisters are a whole lot older than I am, so why did I have a bunk bed? I don't know why I had a bunk bed, but I remember hanging upside down from the top bunk and imagining what it was like to not be able to breathe because the air was so thin. And there's one part of the book where a man's lung has collapsed and he has to be put into like a hyperbaric chamber to keep him alive. So it really opened my eyes to kind of the dangers of the world, but also the wonders of it, because I had never really been anywhere outside of Kansas City at that point in my life. So it created within me these new ideas that I had never experienced. And that is what literacy is, and what it means to me, and what we need to work to instill in our students. So with that being said, I'm almost to the end of my time. So thanks for listening. I appreciate you. God bless.